so many ideas going on in this project, but it's just the start.
Good design is all about creating that moment of bliss.
This is really also the hospitality and the tourism of tomorrow.
This is what we want to show.
We have created something which blends into the environment, and the house itself is basically seamless.
Imagine you were able to just teletransport.
You are on your own island in the center of Amsterdam.
I think you have to go there to believe it.
Our final presentation today is a remarkable project in Copenhagen. Congratulations to B.I.G on winning the Production, Energy and Recycling category in this year's awards. And over to them for the presentation, and welcome.
Thank you, Paul. And I believe this is the last presentation. So it's an amazing 3 days of programming, and I'll be presenting to you Coppenhill, which is a new waste to energy plant in the city of Copenhagen. You can see it there on the horizon under the black arrow. That was a waste to energy plant that worked for 50 or 60 years in the city, basically taking all of the household waste and burning it into energy. And this waste to energy plant is actually located in an area where there's a lot of recreation. So you have a marina, you have also sort of water jet skiing and sort of spaces around it, as well as a go-kart. And so it is in a sort of interesting neighborhood. 1 ton of household waste that is burned in this plant is equal to a 1/4 ton of crude oil. And so for the past 50, 60 years, Denmark is one of the leading countries of burning household waste into energy and electricity and heat for its citizens. This plant, however, was basically dated and needed to be replaced. And so really we were looking at a way for these waste to energy plants that you can see here that are typically designed by engineers as sort of dumb boxes with smokestacks, and typically, of course, also on the periphery of cities. This particular one needed to be built right in the heart of Copenhagen so that the distances of the dump trucks, the trash trucks, would not be too far. And we really wanted to find a way for this building to symbolize the move of the city of Copenhagen to be a carbon neutral city by the year 2025 as the world's first. So this is also key to that accomplishment. And we were looking for ways to think about the rainwater that was hitting this plant, and looking for ways to maximize the daylighting and the reheat circulation for the 200 people that are working there. And so it is, of course, will be, or was now, is now the tallest building in Copenhagen. It is also the largest ever financial or private and public financed project at about 600 million euro. And because it's situated in Scandinavia, where of course it snows, we were thinking that since we're going to have mountains of trash, why not actually come up with an idea that could graft a ski slope on top of this power plant? And this was a way for us to take a project that typically is a NIMBY project. No, I don't want to have a energy plant in my backyard, and turn it into a YIMBY project. Yes, I would like to have this energy plant because it actually gives something back to the city. And you have this sort of ski slope, Black Diamond, also skiing areas for intermediate and even beginners. You take the elevator all the way to the rooftop that then allows you to sort of continuously ski. And there's also a ski rental shop for anyone who's coming to Copenhagen and never knew that they could actually ski down a power plant. So it gives new meaning to white trash. And this was really the idea of bringing a new type of social infrastructure so that infrastructure isn't just the gray area on a map in most cities, but really begins to embed and to activate and to look at its surroundings and the neighborhood and actually offer something that is quite unique. So here are just a couple of sort of renderings and drawings. This shows the sort of trash trucks there on the right that are delivering the trash. You get the scooper that scoops it up and puts it into the furnace where it gets burned, and that steam then is what's running the turbines and is then emitted as just steam through the smokestack. And this entire filtration process is also the cleanest that it has ever been. That allows the roof to be occupiable, and therefore we were then starting to think, how could we occupy this roof of this very large building? And we came up with a series of uses. So there are skiing paths, there are also hiking paths, there is also the idea of actually programming this into different events during the year. So we have extreme sports, we have snowboarding and the half pipe that is also built over time, and a lot of intertubing and things for kids of all ages and all of us to sort of take over. So here's the footpath that lets people to bring their families and really to enjoy the entire path, and you can move up and down on the periphery of the building. This shows just the sort of structural effort that was done, because really the competition asked only for, the brief only asked to beautify or to create a kind of skin to this existing power plant. We, as the architects, brought the idea of actually occupying that roof and creating the program. So here is a mock-up that was done for those sort of facade elements. And it's also one of the few daylight or day-lit factories that you can see. And here's a progression of sort of construction shots. We have 8 cranes out there building the sort of furnace and all of the sort of interior guts of a power plant, and then of course nestling and placing it into the additional programs that you can see here. And suddenly you see other projects, residential projects, that are developed after this project has actually been built, and also the parking lots now are also going to be future residential projects being built right up against the power plant. So here are just a few images of how one is using that surface. People are either using the ski lifts to move up. There are a variety of different ways of getting up and over. It is a destination both during the weekdays as well as the weekends, and really has become a kind of a tourist draw for the city. Here you see the trucks coming in and dumping the trash into this large vaulted area, the scoopers coming and then placing it into the furnace. And then you can see just the sort of day-lit interior again, and just the sheer scale of this project through a few images. And what shouldn't be seen is also there's a real sort of office building with 200 people working there, which is also enclosed. And these are municipal workers that are also helping to educate and help the public. So school groups move through here, and different visiting dignitaries are coming to learn about waste to energy in Copenhagen. And the workers themselves also have wonderful sort of daylit and views out over the city. So this is a building that offers a lot more than just the purpose of actually creating energy. This is Europe's tallest climbing wall that also allows people to actually climb up to the 90-meter top instead of just the footpaths that you see here. And it's become that kind of community kind of draw. So people just go up to the top with their families to actually enjoy views out over Copenhagen, which is, of course, one of the flattest countries in Europe. And even on Friday nights, this is just from a couple of months ago, where people actually come to hang out in the Après ski bar and enjoy the tunes up there. So it's a new way of thinking about our energy infrastructure that we have in each and every city around us. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Inspirational project. Let's see. Abdul Qadir, would you like to start?
Wow. This is a kind of some idea. Thank you very much. It's absolutely amazing and beautiful idea. I just have one question. How was the process to get to this kind of idea, to mixing all these functions and technical detail, how the facade is built? Just
Yes.
more technical details about the facade.
So I think there are a couple of questions in there, but I will answer it this way, that of course the brief and the competition that was a architectural brief was to create a skin around the power plants. And what we realized, when you have to build a skin that tall, up to 90 meters tall, you need a lot of reinforcement, a lot of steel, a lot of structure. And so once we had actually developed a concept that was only the skin, only the facade, we realized that to cap it or to place a roof on it was a very small amount extra. Once we had the roof over the power plant, we then also realized that we now had this wonderful surface. And if we actually molded it and manipulated it in a certain way, we could actually take it and touch it to the ground. Then we started thinking about the different seasons and what different people would like to do on it. We knew that we wanted to climb on it. We knew that we wanted to ride a mountain bike down it. So then it just grew from there in terms of the different types of activities.
Thank you very much. Christina.
Well, I love the big thinking. It's always refreshing. How this project has existed for a while, or I thought I saw it published a while back, but I just think the inventiveness of bringing together sports and waste is, it's wonderful. This is what you guys do so well. It's stretching the imagination, and I think there is humor in there that is wonderful. And when you look at historical industrial buildings, 19th century, they used to have quite a big budget, and they used to be quite beautiful structures. And then somehow we ended up with the IKEA boxes for a while. And it's quite nice to see a return to these building types becoming part of the architecture of the city. So I think as a project and as a thinking of this problem, I mean, if as an architect and you're being asked to do a waste plant, it's probably you're not jumping up for joy, and you turned it into something where you are jumping up for joy, and it's a wonderful project. So well done.
Yes, I would just, if you look into the background, you can see the 1960s, 70s era power plant there. And so when you consider that there was a lot of money spent on that plant, I think what has been missing, and what I would also say to everyone that's listening, is that for many decades, these types of projects have been under the purview of engineers. And I think the urban qualities have been sort of lacking. So as architects, I think we have a huge potential of actually bringing urban qualities to these engineering functional buildings. And that's our hope with this, is to really inspire a lot more architects to look at infrastructure projects, bridges, tunnels, power plants, flood management systems, you name it. We should be more engaging and looking at them as architectural projects.
Thank you very much. I should say that actually this is a double year, so we have entries from 2020 and 2021, which will respond to your point, Christina. But let's move to Kim. It's your home city.
Yeah, I know Kayu very well, and we are very good friends, best friends, and we are very tough competitors. And we were invited for this competition, and we were severely beaten by B.I.G with this one here, I would say. We knew they were going to build a hill, but they did it in a way that I really love. I must say it's a great contribution to the city, and it is about, I think it's about always when you design as an architect to do more than a building, and this is a very great example on that. There is a lot more that this single function of waste burning, it adds a lot more to the area. And it's just next to me. I can see it from here when I look this way here. And it reminds me about every day that we lost that competition. Anyway, I have just one question. I have just one question to you, Kaiuwe. That's always bothered me a little bit. Why did you turn it this way with a high side towards the city and not the other way around? So when you skied down, you could see the city when you were skiing down and not seeing the rest of the industrial area out there. Can you explain that for me?
Yeah, we couldn't agree with you more. It was actually more of a function of where roads had sort of been built and where the planning, the site planning, I'll say, that existed and where the trucks would come to dump and where the site was. And so suddenly the ovens and all of the guts of the building moved toward one end of the site, which is the site closest to the city, and therefore became the tallest piece. We also were looking to flip it at the time of the competition, but we're told that we had to stay within those site restrictions and also the access restrictions. But that was at that time what we were told and what we planned. What I didn't mention here in the foreground that you can see in the picture is the actual ski rental area, which is in the parking lot. And so we tucked the ski rental into the parking lot. That actually happened after the competition was decided.
Thank you. And Nuno.
Yeah, of course, very fun building. Having done one too, we did one almost close to 20 years ago that also has been used as a ski ramp when it snows once every 20 years in the Netherlands. The only question I have for Kai is, did you already ski down the building already?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Is there a movie of that?
There are movies, but it's been in use since October 19 and has been helping and functioning as a ski destination every day since. So and I'm sure there are even online a few movies of Bjarke, Jakob Lange, and everyone at B.I.G skiing down.
I've got one question just to close, which was, what was the most difficult part of this project? Was it actually the conception of the ski slope, or were there more difficult things that you had to do once you had the conceptual idea?
First of all, great question, because on these types of projects that I would call, they go beyond political time. This is a project that starts with one administration, with one mayor, and then moves across administrations, and new administrations and new mayors have to kind of accept, adopt, and then adapt these types of projects. That always creates, I think, one of the biggest challenges in anything of this scale. So one of the biggest challenges, first of all, the ski slope actually, I think, is what won us the competition, because the director of the power plant stated herself that instead of actually having to pay lawyers to go against all the people who wouldn't want a power plant in their backyard, she knew that with this project, she wouldn't have to pay the lawyers their fees. She would be able to use the money she would typically spend in legal fees and actually spend it in ski programming and in getting people to come. She was more interested in school kids coming to a power plant to learn about how waste is turned into electricity. That was the easy part. The hard part was that while this was going through regulations and through approvals, there was a political party that basically put a stop to the project for a good year and a half, because they wanted to debate the overall discussion of the circular economy and how this project would actually hinder the moving to a fully recycled society. And I think that it was a very important conversation to have. And what ultimately was decided was that this is a transitional type of project, and where you're moving from a one that is still burning waste. So there is still waste and we're not fully circular, but we're moving in the right direction, and we're actually recycling more and more in society, so that, you know, a waste to energy plant perhaps 50, 60, 70 years from now is actually obsolete. And then this would then turn into a sorting facility.
Thank you very much for that. Congratulations on winning this category, and thank you so much for your time today.
I hear the champagne popping for the last presentation. So thank you so much.